Let me first of all thank David for having persevered and developed the Restoration Weekend into an extraordinary event, and all the other things you're doing in so many different places. You, like Ron Silver, have the courage to be in the heart of the other team's camp and to stand firmly for what you believe to be true, and you've really made a difference for America. And Clifton and I are thrilled to be here with you. I believe we're here at a remarkable time. And I do think it's helpful to put this in context. Many of you have been active for many years, and you've been involved in winning fights and you've been involved in losing fights. I've helped twice develop very large campaigns. In 1979, 1980, working with Bill Brock at the National Committee and as the chair of the Planning Committee of the Congressional Campaign Committee, we designed the first ever Capitol Steps event, and we designed a campaign which ultimately won control of the Senate by a margin of 75,000 votes in 6 states. And nobody expected 3 weeks out that we'd win the Senate, and in fact nobody expected the weekend before the election we'd win the Senate. But we had deliberately designed a sweep strategy. We gained 33 seats in the House. And I believe that both Ed Royce and Michelle Bachmann, who are here today, are going to end up being chairs probably in January of 2011. And I think and I say this as somebody who all through the summer of 1980 thought Mac Mattingly could beat Senator Herman Talmadge, and as somebody who all through 93 and 94 kept telling people that we did have a chance to win. Now, I want to talk to you about what it will take to win, and I want to talk to you about it at a much deeper level than we've been through. And I think this is part of why you have today a Tea Party movement, is because we haven't been getting straight talk out of our politicians, and people have been dancing past things they don't want to talk about, and we have been trying to compromise the uncompromisable. Now, I think it's important to understand that the 2004 election was a wasted opportunity. I wrote a paper that year, you can get at newt.org, in which I outlined that in 57 issues, John Kerry was, on average, in a 77 to 17 minority. Remember, John Kerry was to the left of Teddy Kennedy. John Kerry was a setup for the next great George McGovern, Walter Mondale moment of absolute annihilation of the left. And you couldn't get the Bush team to pay attention, because they were determined to run a base mobilization, narrow margin victory, focusing on crushing Kerry as a person. Largely, I think, because they were so uncomfortable with ideas. They then couldn't recognize that a president who doesn't veto guarantees stupid spending. It is impossible for the Congress to police itself. It's only been done one time in modern history for 4 years, and I personally did it. In the 4 years I was Speaker, we had let me just finish this, because people don't understand this. In the 4 years I was Speaker, total federal spending, including the entitlements, went up 2.94% a year. That is the lowest rate since Calvin Coolidge. In the absence of a remarkably powerful Speaker, and you couldn't sustain it. Part of the reason I ended up not being Speaker is I kept saying no to a lot of people. In the absence of a Speaker that strong, you have to have a president who vetoes bills. And to have a deal that says you can pass anything no matter how stupid and I'll sign it. And then remember the second half of the deal, which is Congress didn't do its investigative work, and they basically said you can have a bureaucracy of unbelievable incompetence and we won't expose it. After all, we're on the same team. The big spending, bad governing, bureaucratic team. Well, the average American looked up and said, if I want to get that kind of behavior, let's get Democrats. They're at least happy doing it. So in 2005, Bush goes to New Orleans after 5 days of watching this country go through an agony on television, and he says, Brownie, you're doing a heck of a job. Now, he never recovered from that. Because the average American looked up and said, if he doesn't understand New Orleans is a disaster, and he doesn't understand this guy's incompetent, what does that tell me about Baghdad? What does that tell me about everything else that's going on? So in 2006, the country tried to send a signal. We were 0 for 6 in close Senate races. Many of you gave tons of money. I want to tell you up front, Money spent without purpose in a campaign without an argument is a waste of money. When you're 0 for 6 in close Senate races, it is not a personality problem. It's a fundamental repudiation. We lost the House. We lost, and I started saying this, by the way, in January of 2006. I mean, go back and Google it. Because I said, if you're not a reform party and you're not dominating October with reform, you are going to get crushed. So now you come to 2008. And people don't realize this, but because of American solutions, and because we picked up the theme of drill here, drill now, pay less, and because Sean Hannity helped us and we got 1,500,000 signatures in 6 weeks, and the House Republicans took it up brilliantly. The Senate Republicans were confused as usual. But the House Republicans picked it up brilliantly, and the House Republicans waged a campaign in August that was fabulous. And the result was, the week before Wall Street collapsed, the Republicans were ahead by 5 points in the generic ballot, and McCain was up by 3, because we were winning an argument. We weren't pitting our guy against their guy, we were pitting our vision of the world against their vision of the world. We will always win if we have the courage to do that. And then in 2008, the Republicans lost an election in one of the great, I believe, ironic moments in American history. The Democrats totally misunderstood the election. The 2006 and 2008 elections are performance elections. We were fired for not performing. They were not values elections. They were not realignment elections. A leading Democrat consultant said the other day, the great crisis for the Democratic Party is that they don't understand their first actual election is coming up in 2010. They were the heirs of the Republican failure. My daughter Jackie Cushman writes a weekly column and wrote about 2 months ago, we were told we were voting for change you can believe in, and we found we were voting for somebody who wanted to change what we believe. And that's what came together. Now here's my proposition for all of you to think about and organize yourself for the next 3 years on. The combination of Obama, Pelosi, and Reid is creating a decisive moment in American history that may be the most decisive since the 1850s. Because they are making so vividly clear, and I just got from David his newest little book on, which is exactly right. In fact, I have a copy of Alinsky's book on my desk right now for the same reason. I mean, what we're going to discover is that you have the most radical president in American history, with the most radical Speaker of the House, with a total opportunist as Senate Majority Leader. Harry Reid's not particularly radical. He's just happy to be with whatever group is in charge. And what's the result?